Welcome to Songbird Sessions, the podcast where Tom Burkett sits down with the voices of the DFW music scene. Today, we're diving into the intersection of craftsmanship and innovation with Dave Butler, founder of Butler Trombones. Dave is the mind behind those revolutionary custom carbon fiber parts you've been hearing about. Join us as he shares the story of starting the business and how he's reshaping the trombone scene from the ground up. Welcome to Songbird Sessions.
Hi, this is Tom Burkett with another episode of Songbird Sessions. We are here with Dave Butler. Dave Butler is a wonderful trombone player that learned to make carbon fiber trombones, and the way I first knew you as the carbon fiber slides.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he has totally mastered this thing and just constantly expanding. Because once you figure out how to do one of these things, you could figure out how to do pretty much all of them. So look out,
to think that way.
Look out, world. Here comes the carbon fiber world. Dave, welcome to Songbird Sessions.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, tell us a little bit about this. I mean, most of the world has no idea what a carbon fiber trombone is.
Yeah. So I guess I'll give you a little history of it. When I was playing a job that was pretty hard to do. It was 6 nights a week, 7 nights a week sometimes, playing in a show band. Holding up the horn every night got to be a little chore. And I bought a plastic P-bone like everybody else did at that time, 20 or 10 years ago. And so it was a terrible instrument, but it was really comfortable to hold in the hand, and ergonomically it was great. It was really easy. I thought, well, if we could ever get something that's that easy to play and that easy to hold for long periods of time, that actually was a professional level instrument, we can maybe find something here that would improve the ergonomics for all the trombone players and then eventually other instruments as well. So yeah, that's kind of how it started. And I had an old Con 6H and started replacing parts on that horn. The first one was the slide, and I used the old metal crook at the end of the slide to start with. And I thought, well, that makes a difference and it helps. Let's just keep going. So I got to the point where the entire horn was carbon fiber. And I thought, well, this is cool, but it almost is a little too much like a toy. So I backed off a little bit. And so I integrated some of the metal parts back into it, like the inner slide tubes and some other things, just to kind of balance the horn a little bit better, make it feel more traditionally correct. And that's what we came up with. We've been selling these for 10 years now. We've created more models. Now we have a large bore tenor, we have a medium bore tenor, we have a bass trombone. We're working on a new sousaphone design, which we sold a couple to the Marine Band in DC, which they're expecting delivery in March. So things are moving right along, and we really want to get involved going forward into kind of the school market to see if we can work with some of these marching band directors and things to develop new products for that.
Well, explain to us what carbon fiber is.
Yeah. Okay. So carbon fiber is a composite in the way we use it. So it comes in several different forms. One is the basic form is what we call tow, TOW. And what that is basically a carbon fiber string or strand. And that comes in, and it's bundled into, things almost as fine as a thin hair, really. It's wrapped around a spool, and that's one version of it. Then the common thing that you see is a woven cloth. That's carbon fiber cloth, and that's what we use on our horns and all the other parts that we make. But it's just like a carbon fiber cloth that we use, and then that gets wetted out with an epoxy resin, and that forms the composite. So it's a combined epoxy resin and carbon fiber cloth that's woven. We use 2 or 3 layers of this to create a really strong, thin surface that rivals any kind of metal in strength. Actually, it's really stronger than brass and much less malleable, so you can't dent it at all. Then there's another version of carbon fiber that is basically the same, except for it uses a resin that only cures at a high temperature. So It comes as a frozen cloth with resin already impregnated in that cloth. That's called prepreg carbon fiber. We use that for our bells. And the reason why we use that is because it regulates the amount of resin to the carbon cloth. So you end up getting a ratio of a lot more carbon than resin, which it helps with acoustically. So the downside to that is that you have to keep it frozen. And then when you use it, you mold it into the shape over our aluminum mandrel. And we have an aluminum mold that goes over that, and then you have to cook it in the oven for 2 hours. So it's a baked trombone bell.
So when they're talking about the half-baked,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
now the reason why I discovered you and why I was looking for an answer is I had my band at the time was with Butler Brass, and we were artist residents with Yamaha.
Mhm.
And so anyway, I'd gotten this brand new horn from Yamaha, and the band had a gig down in Del Rio, Texas.
Mhm.
It was an outdoor thing, and the television station showed up, and they wanted to do an interview, just as soon as we got through playing. So, I went over there, and it was outside, and of course it was windy, wouldn't you know it? I have a really good trombone stand, but it ain't that good, because the wind.
Yikes.
And so I'm sitting over there in front of the camera, just watching my trombone.
Uh,
And of course, whenever that happens, you can't play it at all. Luckily, I had my smaller horn with me, but we finished the tour, and I immediately came back and got just the best trombone repairman in the whole Dallas-Fort Worth area. And the reality is, you can fix it where it looks pretty good.
Mhm.
It's never the
Sure
same.
is.
And to a trombone player, I mean, how well you play in tune and stuff like that has the minute changes that you make all the difference.
Sure.
And you can't do that whenever it's not perfectly round and all that.
Yep.
So, once again, because Eric Swanson was a repair guy, and he's a tremendous repair guy. But, once again, it'll never be the same. And so I cussed that thing from there on. And then whenever I finally found you, then, I got this carbon fiber slide, and it was just so easy to play, such a dream. Well, now I have two more, so I have three trombones with the Dave Butler trombone slide. And for me, finding that kind of slide was like a godsend. I mean, a lot of people who don't understand trombones won't make sense.
Right.
But if you're a trombone player, it makes a lot of sense.
Sure does. Yeah. Well, the carbon slides, we sell probably more of those than anything. We do a lot of custom work for any brand of trombone, and we've worked on Yamahas many times. In fact, we did a conversion for Doug Yo, who was the former
Sure.
bass trombonist with the Boston Symphony. He came to us wanting us to because he had several elbow surgeries and wrist surgeries because of the weight of the horn. And so he wanted us to basically modify his horn and add carbon fiber parts to it. First thing we did was the trombone slide for Doug. And I remember we were doing an international trombone festival, and Doug was there. And I walked up to him, I gave him his carbon slide. He put it on his horn, he played 3 notes on it, and he says, "I'm gonna use this on my recital." And he went in there and just played it. Sounded great.
That's an
So
endorsement.
yeah, it's an endorsement.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, the slide makes all the difference for what you say is that it takes the difference in weight is significant. So a bass trombone slide weighs 300 grams. A carbon fiber slide that we make weighs 85 grams. So it's a third of the weight of a big brass slide, which you can imagine if you're changing directions, moving back and forth like this, it's an enormous amount of inertia change. Your articulations get a lot cleaner. Your ability to play faster is enhanced. So your overall musicality is enhanced. Sound-wise, nobody can really tell the difference between the carbon slide or a metal slide. There's no acoustic difference really, other than the fact that the carbon fiber responds quicker than brass. So you get better, quicker articulations from the movement of the slide, but also just the fact that the material itself responds quicker. So you get the double plus there. But yeah, we've sold a ton of those slides, and Doug was so nice and wrote a really beautiful review of his horn after we finished. We also built a valve. He took it off to Yamaha to show them, which I was like, I don't know about that. But anyway, so far they haven't stolen my ideas.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, he's
Now-
he and many others have complimented us on the fact that it's extended their life of playing the instrument, which is a huge thing for us.
Well, that's tremendous. Well, as I had mentioned, and actually you've talked about with Doug's trombone, from the slide, you've gone to making all kinds of parts. And I noticed whenever I came in, you have a section where you're moving into mouthpieces.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that in a minute.
Here in Cleburne, there is something for everyone. With multiple museums, lots of restaurants, and plenty of shopping, you will have a weekend to remember. In Cleburne's downtown east, you have the multi-award-winning stage performances at the Plaza Theater at Dudley Hall, an old-fashioned root beer and candy store, 6 antique shopping stores, including the 3-story mall at Red Horse Antiques. Also, don't forget your very own Songbird Live, the best listening room in the DFW area. All this and much more only in Cleburne, Texas.
Now, if you're somebody like Dave and you're sitting around with all these tools and these ideas of what you could do, you wind up having really unique lamps and things like that around here.
That's true.
You want to explain that one?
Oh, yeah. With all of the parts that we get off of instruments, some people actually have donated their brass parts because they don't want them anymore. We switch them over. And so for Christmas a couple of years ago, I made this wonderful trombone lamp for my wife.
And of course, a carbon fiber sousaphone bell.
Yeah, we got that too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't turn on right now because the light bulb is dead. But yeah,
Fix that.
yeah. The stand, and it's not really a trombone. It's some kind of a sculpture of a trombone thingy. The funny thing was that I don't know if you know Conrad Herwig,
Yes.
who's a great jazz trombone player, was here with his girlfriend, who was a world-renowned artist in New York.
Visual artist.
Yeah, visual artist, and she was here for an art show in Dallas. And so Conrad, came down with her, and he wanted to try one of our horns. So he came, and he actually bought one, but he came in and with his girlfriend, and she's sitting over here, and she sees that lamp, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, that should be in a museum somewhere." That was quite the compliment.
Now, what should you title it? The lost trombone, or the confused artist? Yeah, not really. Well, we'll just have to let it slide. Yeah, really.
Okay, so this one here is our 6. This is a gold-plated C6. All the metal parts are gold-plated. This is a 508 bore, and it's a small bore tenor, but not the smallest, but still relatively small. So this one is going to a customer in Brazil. He's on tour with somebody right now. He's going to be in New York next month, and so we're going to ship it to New York for him.
Oh, cool.
He'll pick it up there. This one here is our C5 trombone. This is a 500 bore, small bore trombone. And this one is going to be given away at the University of North Texas Jazz Trombone Day to the winner of the competition. And this is just an incredibly wonderful playing instrument. We've had a lot of fun playing it.
I understand. Yeah, you get to play with all the toys you make.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We test everything.
Yeah.
This one is a large bore tenor. This bell is it's another gold-plated one that is going to be sent to a customer in Iowa, I think. I can't remember. Someplace up there. But the slide is being plated right now, so we don't have the slide for it. But this is a large bore tenor. James Vastine in Fort Worth is the one that actually builds our valve sections for us. And then Instrument Innovations in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, makes our valves, and they actually make a lot of these parts for us. He's our machinist, and he does also our custom work. Mike Olson does instrument innovation. So he makes these cork barrels for us, all these parts, the metal parts. He's the machinist behind them. So we buy from him. He also makes parts for Conselmer, and makes parts for Edwards Instruments, Getson. He makes parts for everybody all over the world. So he sells to Europe as well. So he's kind of the go-to guy as far as being a machinist, incredible machinist. But this horn is the one I play on all the time. This is a 525 bore horn that is a medium bore trombone. The cool thing about this horn is that this bell section is the same as the large bore tenor. And this gooseneck here, straight gooseneck without the valve on it, can be interchanged with this right here, the valve. So you can go with a valve or without. So it's interchangeable and modular. Also, the 525 bore slide can be exchanged with the 547 bore slide. So you can actually have that versatility as well. A lot of people, I have a lot of customers that will buy that configuration, but they'll buy a valve section and the 547 slide as well. So they'll have the whole thing that they can play, whatever style of music they want to, they'll have the right horn for.
Well, and to people who are not trombone players, that may not mean just a lot, but if you're a trombone player, it really changes dramatically.
Yeah. I mean, you can, the bass trombone, I'll go straight to that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So this is our bass trombone, the C12. And this is one that Eric Swanson, actually, you mentioned earlier, him and A.G. Robeson actually did a lot of the design work on this horn.
Yeah.
So they worked together in the initial stages of building this horn. This is actually horn number one. This is my horn. So, but we have, I worked with Eric over the years, and whenever we made a modification on the newer ones, we would go back and rechange my horn. So this is fairly up to date, but this has been a real popular horn because it weighs all of 4 pounds compared to 11 or 12 pounds for a normal bass drum.
That doesn't sound like a lot but when all of the weight is right here.
Yeah. Everything is right on your shoulder. So, the slide doesn't weigh, the slide weighs nothing, and, it's indestructible. You can't dent it. All that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, I remember you played a Christmas trombone quartet, and then kind of tossed off the slide off the stage onto the floor, which, if you're a trombone player, you swallow your tongue when that happens.
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny because you had a lady there that asked the question and said, "What about durability?" And I took it off and I threw it to her.
Which blew my mind. Of course, I'm kind of simple, but yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of students, we are building, these are our student line carbon slides, right? Okay, so the difference is, and this is a prototype, so it's not a done finished thing, but this crook is a 3D printed crook, and the brace part is 3D printed. The tubes are exactly the same as our Pro horns, but the advantage for us is the fact that the labor is cut down to almost nothing to glue this together. And we're selling these for, Brooke Mays is allowing students to rent horns with our slides on them.
Wow.
And so they have a whole set of their horns with our student line slides on them.
Now, did everybody catch that? The slide is free now with the student model.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yes. But if you go through, if you or your kids rent instruments through Brooke Mays and Trombones, and they request a carbon slide on the horn, they can get that.
Fantastic. Well, I'll pass that word to my friend there at Tarpley Music.
Yeah. That would be great. Yeah.
Because that's the closest music store to Cleburne. So, So anyway, and so what else do you have here?
Well, okay, so Jeremy Smith is one of our guys here at this shop, is developed a line of mouthpieces. And so what he's developed is, show that over here. These are all 3D printed versions of different styles and sizes of trombone mouthpieces. And what we're building these out of is we're experimenting with lots of different materials, 3D printed wise, to come up with the best type of material for these mouthpieces that would be a combination of carbon fiber and the printing medium that goes with it. Like some of these mouthpieces, this is like a 10% carbon fiber concoction with a extremely hard resonant plastic that goes around that. And then this one is a carbon fiber forged mouthpiece, which is basically built in a mold and not 3D printed. The molds were 3D printed, but the carbon fiber particles are mixed in with resin, I should say flakes, I guess, mixed in with resin that creates this mouthpiece. And so far, these are sounding really great. We're going to have these at TMEA.
Okay.
A version. We're still working to come up with which version it's going to be. But Jeremy's really, this is his deal, and he's doing a great job with it. And we're super excited to have those down there with the horns.
Fantastic. Now, how many horns are you taking to
We're going to
TMEA?
take at least 8, hopefully 10.
Awesome.
We have, if we take 8, most, probably none of them will be for sale because they'll all be on, by customers. So
Sure.
I'm trying to get to the point where we have some in stock where we can actually sell them there. Because that's the only way we make any money at TMEA. So we're hoping to at least have a couple to sell down there.
Yeah.
And we'll have, of course, Jeremy's mouthpieces, and we also have all of our mutes. Let me grab that mute. I'll show.
Okay. I see a alto trombone. Do y'all make those now?
No, we don't. That's Julie's horn. Julie Gray also works here along with my son Nick Butler. So we have 3 people within here, and Don Boseman also works outside building trombone slides. So that's kind of the group. And I mentioned James Vastine also. So that's kind of our group. So yeah, the alto, I think we did have a request for an alto slide. And so we may try and do that. And we may eventually get to building an alto. We just haven't done that. That would be the only model we don't have yet. Yeah, the thing with it's you have to be careful with what you build that at least is viable as a consumer product for trombone players, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, this is our.
Wait a minute. You're a trombone player and you're talking business?
That's an oxymoron. My wife would laugh at that too because she thinks I'm a terrible business. I remember one time I had an investor that was, I was interested in investors at one time, and this guy invested in all kinds of companies, blah, blah, blah. I had lunch with him. He was a friend of a friend. And so after I had lunch with him, my friend said, I said, well, how'd it go? He goes, well, I don't think he's interested. He says, you love what you do way too much. You won't be able to make any money out of it.
Well, one of the things that we know is that money is usually related to scale.
Yes.
And if you can't scale it, that's pretty hard to do.
Right.
And of course, you're doing so many custom projects here. The school trombone slide really, really perks my interest simply because almost school kids screw up their trombone slide at one time or another. And as I mentioned to you before, it's never the same. And so realistically, if as a band director, if you can have one of those, all your kids playing that, they don't, you don't have kids down because the horn screwed up.
Yeah, and that's kind of we joke around here. It's like we're going to work on the student line stuff and the sousaphones and the student line slides to support our trombone building habit.
Yeah,
so that's kind of exactly what we're working on.
Yeah. Well, so tell me what you have there.
Okay, so this is a carbon fiber adjustable straight cup mute, and this is for the tenor trombone. We also make it for bass trombone. It has a carbon fiber barrel, which it really adds to the resonance of the mute considerably. This top cone is printed in carbon fiber nylon, and it's actually, you can actually push it in and it doesn't dent, and it's very durable. And something very unique to our mutes that nobody else does is we attach these Velcro strips here, and these corks are on Velcro, so you can adjust them up and down.
Wow. So depending on
the throat of your bell, right? So if you can adjust it to fit your horn better. For instance, like a lot of trombone players might go between a small bore tenor and a large bore tenor, right? So having these adjustable corks allows you to use the same mute for both horns.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, and if you have a pea shooter like mine.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. You can adjust it to that.
Yeah.
The end piece is also carbon fiber nylon that's 3D
Wow.
printed. And the other thing that's a unique factor about this part, the cup part of it, and this can be used as a straight mute, and then you put this on, and it's adjustable, which allows to use as a cup mute, but you can move it, you can get different sounds on it. So if you wanted to have a really closed cup sound, which is kind of like the J.J. Johnson cup sound on some of his records, if it's a very closed cup, so you can close that down. And you can actually create kind of a practice mute by closing it all up against your bell. Or if you want a real open cup mute sound, if you're in the whole big band section with trumpets and everything else, then you might want to have it more open to get a little bit more sound out of it. So it's adjustable. But the beauty of this part is it's flexible. All right. So you can't break it, and it doesn't spin, and it comes right back to shape when you let go of it. So that's the beauty of that material, is it holds its shape, and it can bend, so you don't have to worry about it breaking or bending.
Well, you could also sell that to colleges because they like to put liquids in them.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Is that what they do?
That's funny. Now, what am I looking at this reel here? What am I looking at?
Okay, so this is a 3D printed. It's for filament for 3D printing. This particular filament here looks like to me that is for our core material that is water soluble, that we print out the core of a part. So if we're building a part, let's say, let's just look at one of these. Okay, this is a tuning slide for the F side of a trombone. So this crook right here is made with carbon fiber sleeve. And the way we make that part is we have a core that's printed out of this material that's the shape of the inside of this crook.
Awesome.
And that core gets wrapped with the carbon fiber sleeve. So then we put, on this case, I think 3 layers of carbon fiber sleeve, which equates to a 0.03 wall thickness. And then this part right here, this much of it, not the ferrules or just the part, gets put into a 2-piece 3D printed mold and screwed together, and then inundated with resin over all of the carbon fiber cloth. And then it gets cured over time. We usually will stick in the oven at a low temperature to help it cure. And then over 2-3 hours or so, the part is done. We take that out of the mold, and then we just put it in a bucket of water and let it sit overnight, and then it dissolves the core out. If we want to make that a little faster, we have a big crock pot down there that we can throw it in with hot water. That also helps it. And then to build this part out, this is a part of our tubing that we use for a lot of the trombone slides. We'll cut off, that's our ferrule, and then we glue.
Is it brass?
No, that's carbon fiber. Everything's carbon fiber.
Yeah.
And then this part is another tube that we sand to fit our F slide on the large bore tenor, which I'll show you what it looks like in the horn. So this is one that's in the horn. This one has to be trimmed still because it's a little too long. But that's how it works.
See?
That's how we build that part. And we build the same way for our main tuning slide, is the same way. It has a carbon fiber sleeve and has a core that we put inside it and saturated with resin and then put in the mold, and same thing.
Yeah.
Then in this case, we add our brace, which is glued in place. A lot of the things we do, like this part right here, is made here. And we do that also as well. We have a core that we make this long piece. And whenever we do a custom size tubing, which is frequently we have to, you can't buy everything, a lot of the tubes that we make are custom.
Right.
And so we will use that core system and 3D print the outer mold for it to build the part.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then, of course, here is, I would say plastic. I guess it's carbon fiber mouthpiece.
Now, these are to test the shape and so we did a whole row. All these mouthpieces were printed, and Jeremy printed them in plastic to kind of get the idea of how they play different backboards, different cup depths, different rims, so that we can go through all of those and kind of pick out. I think he's going to offer most all of them, but this isn't the final material. It's just like a testing material.
Got it.
I do believe that he's going to offer kits for band direct also, so that if they want their kids to try out a bunch of different mouthpieces and size-wise, they can buy a kit from him for like 20 different mouthpiece sizes, and they can go through and they can choose which one they like.
Well, Dave, thanks so much for sharing your time with us and your expertise and the secret sauce on how to make carbon fiber trombones. We really appreciate it, and we wish you all the success.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so this is Tom Burkett signing off here with Songbird Sessions. Hey, thanks. Bye.
Thanks for watching. For more info on our current show schedule, please visit songbirdlive.com. And for current updates, please check the Songbird Live Facebook page. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.